welcome to Tabor Talk. So I gotta say, people always ask me, who are your favorite writers, authors, fiction, nonfiction, and it's just too many. But one comes to mind. I'm actually reading him now. Is Bill Bryson. I've got three of his other books downstairs, but this I believe was written 2004. Is a short history of nearly everything, and then this is his latest, The Body, a guide for occupants. Bill Bryson is just an incredible writer, and he's fun, and he makes it accessible to the lay person without sort of watering it down and so it's just fantastic. So what I wanted to do here today is I started reading this, and the very first, the introduction here was so good. I mean, it's incredible. I'm going to read it in a second. Well, actually, I committed it to memory. It's that good. And I took some notes, and I'm going to tell you about it, and then I'll talk to you afterwards. Watch. Welcome and congratulations. I'm delighted you could be here. Getting here wasn't easy, I know. In fact, I suspect it was a lot tougher than you realize. To begin with, for you to be here now, trillions, literally trillions of drifting atoms had somehow to assemble in an intricate and intriguingly obliging manner to create you. It's an arrangement so specialized and particular that it has never been tried before, and it will only exist this once. So, for the next many years we hope, these tiny particles will uncomplainingly engage in all of the billions of deft and cooperative efforts necessary to keep you intact and allow you to experience the supremely agreeable but generally underappreciated state known as existence. Why atoms take the trouble is a bit of a mystery, a puzzle, because being you is not a gratifying experience at the atomic level. So for all their devoted attention, your atoms don't actually care about you. In fact, they don't even know you were there. They're just these mindless particles and not even themselves alive. So it's a slightly arresting notion to think that if you were to pick yourself apart with tweezers, one atom at a time, you would produce a mound of fine atomic dust, none of which has ever been alive, but all of which had once been you. So it's very, very strange. And yet somehow, for the period of your existence, these atoms will answer to a single overarching impulse to keep you you. The bad news is that atoms are fickle, and their time of devotion is fleeting indeed. So even a long human life adds up to only, I wrote it down here, 650,000 hours. And when this modest milestone flashes past, or at some other period thereabouts, for reasons unknown, your atoms will shut you down, silently disassemble, and go on to be other things. And that's it for you. You should be happy and rejoice that it happens at all, because generally speaking, in the universe, it doesn't, or as far as we can tell. So this is very, very odd, decidedly odd, that the atoms that so liberally and congenially flock together to form living things on Earth are exactly the same atoms that decline to do it anywhere else. So whatever else it may be at the level of chemistry, life is curiously mundane. So you have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, a little calcium, a dash of sulfur, a light dusting of other various elements, nothing you can find in an ordinary drugstore, and that's all you need. So the only thing special about your atoms, the only thing special about the atoms that make you, is that they make you. This is, of course, the miracle of life. So whether or not atoms make life in other corners of the universe, they make plenty else. Indeed, they make everything else. So without them, there would be no water or air or rivers, no stars and planets, no distant gassy clouds or swirling nebulae, or any of the other things that make the universe so usefully material. Atoms are so numerous and necessary that we easily overlook that they needn't actually exist at all. So think about it. There's no law that requires the universe to fill itself, up with these small particles of matter, or to produce light and gravity and all the other physical properties on which our existence hinges, there needn't actually be a universe at all. And for the longest time, there wasn't. There is nothing at all. No atoms and no universe for them to float about in. There is nothing. There was nothing at all anywhere. So thank goodness for atoms. But the fact that you have atoms and that they assemble in such a willing manner is only part of what got you here. So think about this: to be here now, alive in the 21st century, and smart enough to know it, you also had to be the beneficiary of an extraordinary string of biological good fortune. So survival on Earth is a surprisingly tricky business. So of the billions and billions of living things that have existed since the dawn of time, most of them, 99.99% of them, are no longer around. So life on Earth, as you see, is not only brief, but dismayingly tenuous. And it really is a curious feature of our existence that we come from a planet that is very good at promoting life, but even better at extinguishing. So the average species on Earth lives for around 4 million years. That's average. So if you want to be around for billions of years, you must be as fickle as the atoms that made you. So you must be prepared also to change everything about you: shape, size, color, species affiliation, everything, and to do so repeatedly. That's much easier said than done because, of course, the process of change is random. So think about this: to go from protoplasmal primordial atomic globule, as Gilbert and Sullivan put it, to sentient upright modern human has required you to mutate new traits over and over in a precisely timely manner for an extraordinary long while. So at various periods of time over the last 3.8 billion years, you have abhorred oxygen and doted on it, grown fins and limbs and jaunty sails, laid eggs, flicked the air with a forked tongue, been sleek, been furry, lived underground, lived in trees, been as big as a deer and as small as a mouse, and a million other things. So the tiniest deviation from any of these evolutionary shifts, and this is Bill Bryson puts it, then you might be, I don't know, licking algae from cave walls, or lolling wars like on some sandy shore, or disgorging air through a blowhole in the top of your head before diving 60 feet for a mouthful of delicious sandworms. That's a mouthful. Not only have you been lucky enough to be attached since time immemorial to a favored evolutionary line, but you have also been extremely changed. Let me change that. Miraculously fortunate in your personal ancestry. Consider the fact that for 3.8 billion years, think about that, 3.8 billion years, a period of time that's older than all the Earth's mountains and rivers and oceans, every one of your forebears on both sides had to be attractive enough to find a mate, healthy enough to reproduce, and sufficiently blessed by fate and circumstance to live long enough to do so. Not one of your pertinent ancestors was squashed, devoured, drowned, stranded, stuck fast, untimely wounded, or otherwise deflected from its life's quest of delivering a tiny charge of genetic material to the right person at the right moment in order to perpetuate the only possible sequence of hereditary combinations that could result eventually and extraordinary, astoundingly, and all too briefly in you.